Muse started as a silly hobby project in 2020 to doing over £22 million in revenue in 2024 alone. And the marketing strategy behind all of their success was simply genius. While other fashion brands were burning millions on traditional marketing, Muse built an empire through social media by positioning themselves in a very unique way. And in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how they did it and how any other fashion brand can do it too. From the beginning, Muse positioned its founder, Amy Smalley, as a relatable real-world face of the brand, right? So rather than relying on polished, high-production campaigns, she shared raw, unfiltered content, iPhone selfies, mirror videos, and candid clips. So what does this build, right? Right from the get-go, authenticity and relatability. That is the two main parts of this build, because people buy feelings, people buy, people. They don't buy products. So she, right from the get-go, built it as her own brand, as the face of the brand. This approach made the brand feel accessible and trustworthy. Consumers resonated with her personal style, tone of voice, and relatability, which in turn created a deeper sense of connection than overly curated content ever could. It wasn't about glossy ads, it was all about real energy and real people. So rather than trying to portray, because the brand is a mid to luxury brand at, alright high price points, but rather than positioning it as that and really talking about the high quality and the luxury items, she just made it relatable, down to earth, and appealed to her in her own personal way, which the customer actually ended up being more okay with spending the 200, 300, 400 pounds rather than positioning as an actual luxury brand. She still managed to do that, but just in her own personal way, right? So this was the whole foundation of Muse. Let me just show you real quick what the difference between these two things are, right? We have the product focus, so we have the product strategy, which purely focuses on product, and then we have the founder strategy, right? And obviously these two are very different approaches. First of all, for the founder strategy, as I just told you, that builds trust. It connects with the people and it builds a sense of community. That is what you get with the founder-led brands, right? And there's a lot of them these days. And in my opinion, I believe that, a lot more brands are going to be founder-led these days, right? Because the more and more sophisticated the customers get and the consumers get across, the entire internet, the more they will have to, be able to trust the person and to be able to have a sense of, resonance towards the brand that they're buying from before they actually make a purchase, right? So that's why we're also seeing more and more founder-led brands compared to previously. So I believe that is the direction things are going. Now, not to say that product focused isn't good at all. We have a ton of clients who are actually only product focused and who we scale to multiple seven figures. So it's not that you can't do that at all. It's just harder to sell, and it's more communication that is required because you're not selling people, you're actually selling lifestyle. So you need that lifestyle attached to your brand if you're not going the founder-led way, because people either buy people or they buy lifestyle, right? So you need one of those things regardless of what path you're going to take. They both work phenomenally, but there's different perks and different consequences to each approach. Now, so moving on to her really, actually I would need to call it sophisticated way of doing platforms. She kind of made it as a dual platform social media approach, right? So instead of just going the one channel way, she actually decided to go omni-channel. Now, the way that she did this is that she used TikTok primarily for discovery and brand awareness, and that is what TikTok is for, right? You reach out to customers, you get a lot of eyes on your brand, you get a lot of views, you get a lot of traffic. So this right here, I have categorized as our top of funnel. So this is what she used for top of funnel awareness, discovery, all of these things, right? To get customers to know the brand and to get their attention. Then she actually went ahead and then let me just highlight it for you right here, treated Instagram as the conversion for brand loyalty and community, right? So she kind of used Instagram, instead of using that as a top of funnel, which most brands do, she decided to use it as a middle of funnel. So once people have found her and the brand on TikTok, they would then go onto the Instagram and funnel down deeper. So here she would start to build connection with them. She would start to talk with them on stories, go live, share all of these different ideas and messages throughout the day and behind the scenes of the brand, which even more got the customers engaged in the brand, right? And then we move on to her bottom of funnel, and obviously I'm explaining this in traditional marketing terms so that it all makes sense. And what did she use for bottom of funnel? Email marketing, right? And this is what she really made a genius move about. She used email marketing as the core revenue driver, generating more than 50% of revenue versus the industry standard. And then obviously, as I just told you, this would be the bottom of funnel. So she used the TikTok to get awareness, to get people onto the brand and get eyes on the brand, she used Instagram to warm up those customers that came through TikTok and talk to them and speak to them and get them engaged on the brand. And then she used email marketing to convert them at the very last bit. Obviously 50% means 50% of revenue is coming from elsewhere, but you get the point. So she actually just created a platform specific content strategy rather than cross posting the same material. So a lot of brands, they post the same thing that they post on Instagram, on TikTok, and vice versa. Here she actually intentionally used the platforms for different purposes at different levels, especially awareness levels, right? So the customers' awareness levels. So she also treated viral TikTok moments as bonuses rather than relying on them for consistent sales. So when someone, or a brand gets a viral moment on TikTok or whatever, they usually just, try to ride off of that and try to create them again and again and again, as you should, but you should not rely on it, because it's just spikes in growth, right? It's not sustainable. So that's what I really liked as well about the whole old Muse thing. And that's why I've kind of created this world breakdown where I take you through her business model innovation. So the main thing that she's built this brand upon is basically pre-orders. So actually building a pre-order system that, allows her to avoid funding, because she can just get pre-orders and then buy the items, which worked very, very well for her, only because she had the founder-led phase, because people needed to trust the brand before placing a pre-order that they, didn't even know when they would get the product, right? They had an estimate, but pre-orders is always, a drop-off in conversions because people want things quick. But the fact that she had the founder-led and people trusted her, that allowed her to create the pre-orders and really scale with it, which is, pretty much unheard of, and scale with it so that she avoided fundraising and actually avoided, taking out loans, etc. She purely built this off of the back of her self-funding, which I've written right here, right? She innovated with the pre-order so that she could fund herself and start from the bottom and scale up from there, right? She didn't need no funding, no extra capital, no nothing, right? While doing this, she then decided to go ahead and, really focus on the mid-luxury appeal industry. Now, I'll get into what product she used this for in a bit, but that is her main area, right? Mid to luxury appeal. So she's built this whole, D2C industry, or not industry, but this whole D2C empire before actually moving to retail. So by the time she had, built up her D2C empire and started expanding into retail, she actually used retail for credibility rather than primary sales. So her retail products, her retail stores are actually more focused on building credibility and allowing the customers to go into the stores and feel the brand, feel the aesthetics, and get a, a feeling of the brand instead of using it as a, a main revenue driver. Just credibility, which is once again genius, and actually, also punctuate into her optimizing for profit and not revenue. So she's really a profit maximizing, type of business owner. And that's why a business need loyal customers and not one-offs. And that is why she's really allowed herself to scale to this profitability at such high margins compared to other brands, simply because she has a loyal customer base, which allows her to keep a lot of profit because she only pays for acquisition of the customers once, and then they just come back and buy over and over again, right? So that is how she's built a very strong brand. So that's why you need a brand where people can buy into your world, whether that be people or a lifestyle. So whether you're selling, your founder-led strategy, or you actually have a lifestyle attached to your brand, which both can work at the very same level, and sometimes lifestyle even better than founder-led, and vice versa, you still need someone, you still need a brand that people can buy into. And that's why I've described it as this, right, as a world, because here you can see the continents and people buying into these different things, different countries, different aspects, right? People need to be able to buy into your universe, to buy into your lifestyle, and they need to be buying not just a product, but an identity that is attached to your brand. And that is what Amy has done so very well. So Amy really focused on putting product first, right? So instead of just having this, only customer first, she really took her customers into the process of the product. So the approach that she did this by was product design and curation, which is actually rooted in investment pieces rather than attempting to compete in the fast fashion space with high volume and low price point. So this is what she decided to go ahead and do, right? Instead of just focusing purely on the, fast fashion production, we see a lot of fashion brands selling to the younger audience, producing new items and dropping every week. Our Muse's strategy centers on developing quality products that are versatile and timeless. A very first hero product, the blazer, exemplified this ethos. Amy knew that if she focused on making one exceptional product, it could become a signature piece that customer would return to. The blazer quickly became a hit, driving massive early growth and proving that a product first strategy could pay off. So big brands like Pretty Little Thing copied this blazer straight away. This is what got her from 0 to 100 real quick. She made a few £100,000 in the first few months of launching, right? So the strategy really worked for her. And not only that, but after she created this product blazer, or this hero product, which was the blazer, she then took her customers really into account to create this second product. So by resisting the urge to introduce too many products at once, Odd Muse avoided the typical fashion cycle of rapid disposable trends. Instead, the brand carefully expanded with items that align with its identity, such as the pearl dress, a standout success that grossed over £1 million in just one quarter, right? One product, £1 million. Usually you see £1 million in one quarter from 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 different products, right? That drives 80% of the sales, and then there's a bunch of other products that add up to the last 20%, but you get the point. One product grossing £1 million in one quarter at this size is pretty damn unheard of, right? So this focus on one or two hero products at a time rather than flooding the market allowed Odd Muse to establish itself as a reliable source of quality, investment worthy fashion. In doing so, Odd Muse distinguished itself from fast fashion competitors and built a customer base that values longevity and style over fleeting trends, right? So she valued her customers, she took into account how they were perceiving the brand and what they wanted from her, and she created more of that just by listening to her customers, right? So she built the whole brand on top of two products. That is what the whole foundation is built upon when it comes to talking about Odd Muse. So she's playing the long-term game, right? She's not focusing on these quick trends, quick products, quick collection drops. She's playing the long-term game by having evergreen products that sell over and over and over again every season, for any occasion, every single day. That is what she's built the brand upon, and that is why she's making a lot of money. Amy is posting unfiltered content even to this day, right? The entire back of the brand is built upon this unfiltered content, and she's doing it even at 1 million followers, right? She keeps posting this behind the scenes, relatable content that drives the customers into the funnel of the whole brand, and then in turn ends up them, not even having a chance but to actually buy, right? So these posts resonate deeply with the customers, setting it apart in an industry where authenticity is often overshadowed by polished brand images, right? A lot of brands just focusing on high quality images, right? Really just positioning themselves as a luxury brand, especially in this mid-luxury pill industry where you're selling at least £200 or euros. A lot of brands really focus on having this high-end appeal, high-end, portray of their brand, but she actually just portrays her as the brand as a relatable kind of down-to-earth brand. Instead of doing this polished, whole always so high quality, etc., she speaks to her customers in a down-to-earth, relatable way. As you can see right here, she has a post right here where she talks about how she sketched this product right here in China. Let me show you. I sketched this top around a week before I was due to fly to China. I immediately had this vision of me wearing it on a shoot in Ibiza Old Town as the sun was setting with matching mini skirts September 4th. That vision, along with many others, is going live. P.S. I can't get over how chic and unique this Odd Muse outfit is. I wish you made things in petite. Welcome to our factory. You're the coolest. I love this whole look. Wow. She speaks to her customers that, first of all, that her products are made in China. And not a lot of brands, actually talk about that out loud, but she does. Aside from that, she talks about how she can style it in Ibiza Old Town. That's obvious because she wants her customers to imagine themselves wearing these pieces in Ibiza, right? Once again, she speaks to her customers and creates a vision. So she speaks to the customers in this way, right? Where they allow themselves to imagine themselves in her position wearing the products. It is crazy and it is genius, right? And she just does it out of pure creativity. So going a bit more into depth at how Amy uses these viral moments on TikTok to deliver sustainable growth, she actually does it in a very unique way. She had a TikTok influencer post about the Odd Muse blazer, triggering a surge in orders. However, Amy knew that while TikTok could drive traffic and quick sales, it wasn't sustainable for the consistent revenue. So she pivoted to using Instagram as a foundation for brand loyalty, sharing behind the scenes looks, product development, updates, and styling tips. So once again, right, she converted this top of funnel traffic from TikTok, used these viral moments to actually funnel them into the Instagram, speak to the customers that came from these viral moments, and convert them over time and build a loyal customer base from those viral moments. So instead of just capitalizing on the moment in the moment, she actually transitioned that moment into a longer moment, and then that has resulted in a much longer trajectory of revenue coming months over months from one single viral clip. So what she does here is that she obviously uses long-term thinking, sustainable foundations, and engaging traffic, right? So she builds on this long-term thought process of, yes, these viral moments are great, I'm generating sales right now, but it will not last forever. She thinks to herself, how can I build a sustainable foundation off of these viral moments? And then she engages that traffic to build the foundation on top of those viral moments, right? So she does this whole process of keeping customers in the loop and actually speaking to them on a deeper level. Now, a big part of the brand is built upon reposting customers styling the pieces, right? So every time a customer thinks to herself, okay, I want to buy this piece, but I don't know how it looks, they go onto the Muse Instagram account, look for themselves to see, okay, how is this actually styled, what customers are using it, what can I use it for, etc., etc. And then that creates a word of mouth branding and a sense of community, because she encourages this UGC concept that the customers participates in, and then they actually also automatically participate in the brand's growth. That creates a feedback loop of customers feeling appreciated and recognized, right? So what the main thing of this whole process and this whole, positive feedback loop is that the customer feels like they're winning. They feel like they're a part of something when they're buying from Muse, right? A lot of the times customers just feel like you as a brand owner is winning because you're getting their money, right? But in this case, they're buying into a community. They're buying into a positive feedback loop of feeling seen, feeling appreciated, and feeling a part of a community that allows them to win at the moment they buy the product. So this is what she's built the entire, brand on top of, and what she's actually has as her whole foundation. Talking to her customers, being transparent, being authentic, and actually including the customers in the process of the whole, growth cycle of this Muse empire. So that's it for the breakdown. Thank you guys for watching, and if you found value in this breakdown of Muse's marketing strategy and you want my help to take your fashion brand to the next level, you click the first link down in the description to apply for my one-on-one coaching program. I only take on clients that I genuinely know I can help, so spots are limited. I'll see you in the next one.